Hello, good day. So, with regards to bacteria and diseases, no, we are going to discuss yung mga importanteng bagay, no, in order for us to understand on how diseases are being transmitted and ways, no, yung mga technical terms na kailangan nating aralin, no, in this topic, no. So, moving forward, I will present this, no, pero also take note na not everything na nandito sa PowerPoint, hindi na po natin naaralin. Always make sure that you also have read your libro, no? Which is the chapter 10 of your book, no? With regards to bacteria and diseases. So, key terminology in bacteria and diseases. And I think, medyo na-emphasize ko na si bacteremia several times, no? With infection, it's more of the pathogenic invasion of the body. With your diseases naman, it's more of pagkakagulo ng homeostatic effect ng body nyo when there is a pathogen exposure, no? Where nagkakaroon ng immune response. Ayan. Yun ang disease. Your pathogenicity is where yung ability of a microorganism to cause. This is simple as that, no? Yung isang microorganism na nagkakos ng sakit, no? Kaya nga, genesis, the beginning of the disease, no? With your virulence naman, degree of pathogenicity. Yan lang ang gusto kong i-highlight dito sa virulence. Where, no, diyan natin ma-evaluate kung gaano ka-deadly or gaano ka-safe ang isang microorganism if ever ma-expose man kayo, no? But given in this state, more of the disease, no, yung consequence when you get exposed to a certain microorganisms. So, symbiosis, I think we have highly emphasized this way back from your prelims, ang mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. So, I won't deal with this too much, no, or discuss, but ito na po yung mga importanteng keywords. Okay? So, with your blood infection terms, as I have taught you before, no, everything that ends with imia, ibig sabihin blood, no, ang lagi nyo lang po iisipin is the beginning of the word, no? For example, in this case, bacteria, add with your imia, therefore, there is bacteria in the blood. Pyemia, there is high level of presence of your white blood cells in the blood, no? Kaya nga pyemia. And usually, hindi na po nalalayo ang pyemia cases, no, in septicemia, no? Wherein there is a high case of bacteremia usually, ha? Kaya po medyo magkakadikit-dikit po ang technical terms. Don't be confused. Septicemia, pakitandaan, systemic issue po to. Bacteremia, it's more of the emphasizing na mayroong bacteria sa dugo. Septicemia, it's a systemic bacterial infection. Yan, no? Actively multiplying in the blood. Okay, with your toxemia, ito nga, toxins. Viremia with your virus. So, ito po si contamination and pollution. Hindi ko na po ito masyadong i-elaborate kasi very common sense na lang ang technical terms nila. Okay? Wag lang din kayo, wag nyo lang maipagpalit ang paggamit nila, no? So, sa Koch postulates na tayo. As from the word itself, si Koch. Si Robert Koch po ang nakadiscover nito. Merong 4 na criteria, no? So, organism present in deceased individuals but absent in healthy individuals. Organism isolated and grown in pure culture. Cultured organism causes the same disease when introduced to a healthy host. And organism are isolated from newly infected host. So, ito po yung 4 na criteria, no? Later on, I will explain further ano po application nitong 4 criteria. So, basically, ang gusto lang i-emphasize ng postulation ni Koch, no, yung microorganism and yung degree of pathogenicity ng isang microorganism. Okay? So, ito po yung mga basic principles in his time. Okay? So, ito po yung ating picture or illustration na can be found also in your book, no? Wherein kung makikita po natin yung dalawang scenario. With your healthy organism, kung makikita nyo po yung daga, no? No, as you can see, the blood of the healthy organism, wala pong microorganism within his blood cells. Its blood cells, no? Therefore, nakikita nyo sa plate, wala pong tumubong microorganism. In comparison with the diseased organism, kung mapapansin po natin, meron po tayo makikitang cocci organisms. Assume natin since bilog po siya, no? Found in the blood, no? So makikita po natin on the next illustration, no, there is an inoculate. Wherein, ito po yung plate na tinutukoy natin, no, from the very beginning ng prelims, yung mga media, no, nag-inoculate, nagkaroon ng growth, and then, in this another presentation, no, another healthy organism injected from the inoculated sample where there is a growth of the agar, no, ng bacteria, in-inject dun sa healthy na organism at nakita naman natin namatay po yung taga. And upon inoculating it to another plate, no, kumuha ng sample, no, tinanim doon sa plate, nagkaroon ng growth indicating na meron din siyang disease, no, confirming that there is the presence of disease. Next, limitation of Koch postulates. Ayan, ito po yung mga other kumbaga loopholes sa postulation ni Koch, no. Hindi po lahat ng microorganisms ay nadadaan sa paglagay sa medium, no. Ang magandang example po dito is your viruses and your Mycobacterium leprae. So, in our practice today, although this is something na medyo gray area for me, kasi there are cases na po na gumagamit tayo ng mga media or agar for duplication purposes ng virus. But then, hindi po siya yung parang katulad ng bacteria where you can multiply it by plating. Sa virus kasi, ang ginagawa na lang po is kumukuha ng DNA or RNA component nun, tapos ina-isolate, no? Ina-isolate, parang ginagawang, para ma-identify po siya, no? And initially, ang may risk din po kasi sa virus, they don't have the cellular structure para ma-maintain yung pag-apply ng culture, no? With Mycobacterium leprae naman, very obvious naman kasing makita siya sa symptoms sa isang pasyente. So, usually hindi na po nakakandak ang Mycobacterium leprae for culturing, no? Well, meron man tuberculosis lang so far. Some infections are asymptomatic. As I have mentioned, ito yung mga isa sa mga nakakatakot na cases, no, sa diseases. No, there are cases na akala mo okay ang tao, but they don't know that they have corresponding viruses or bacterial infection na nagiging dormant, no, within the body. It only illustrates at some point kapag sobrang fluctuated na yung immune response ng isang tao. Host response differ genetically. So, depende kung saan kang environment or lifestyle mo, no, malaking impact po yan sa response natin on how we are being exposed. And malaking factor din po ang ethical concerns in infecting animals. Kaya nga po, in terms of medication, hindi po basta-basta nagkakaroon ng gamot, no, it would require ethical review, no, to prevent any cause of harm for human or any living organisms, no. So yan po ay highly emphasized, no, in our current medical practices in research or even in application of any development of medication, no, in our practice. And some pathogens lose virulence in lab culture. So there are cases po, no, upon mutation, genetic manipulation, in engineering, sa madaling salita, no, may mga certain organisms, no, upon exposure, namamatay sila or pwedeng nagiging non-pathogenic sila in some ways, no. So, yun po yung limitations. Kasi nakita nyo naman yung postulation ni Koch way back 1800s pa, no. But given with all the development and other possible scenarios pa na nangyari, no, through the years and centuries, no, medyo marami pong loopholes ang postulation ni Koch. So moving forward na tayo, factors that influences the occurrence of infection. So I think medyo na-discuss ko na to ng paulit-ulit sa inyo, so I won't be elaborating on this illustration. Okay? Basta, sa madaling salita, any agent that causes disease, no? Pwede kayo maging enabler and be a part of the chain of infection, sa madaling salita. Okay? So, in chain of infection, we have to consider the following, no? Itong steps of the chain. Okay? Kasi malaking factor to in investigating, especially kung may mga unknown organisms na kumakalat or nakukos ng sakit or even cause death, no, in reality. No, and when it comes to considering the chain of infection, we also have to consider the etiologic agent, yung pathogen, yung host and environment. So I would like to use the example of COVID-19, no? Bago po, when COVID-19 became a trend, no, way back, no, nung hindi pa alam siya, or for example, bago siyang strain, no, and many scientists, no, got what they call this, nagkakaroon ng investigative purposes, no, when it comes to the pathogen or the risk of being exposed to COVID. Kasi noong time na yun, may mga namamatay. And from there, kaya nga po nagkaroon ng lockdown kasi the risk was too high kasi nga unang-una sa lahat, wala pang vaccine. And without the vaccine, there could be high mortality cases, no? Lalo na hindi pa po masyadong kinikilala si COVID. And it requires a lot of research and a lot of contributing factors to consider, no? Iniimbestigahan talaga nila kung saan nagsimula, saang bansa, and how it became viral talaga, literal, na it lead to lockdowns, no? And even promote an urgent need for study, no? Para maputol kagad yung chain of infection, okay? So, yun po yung importance ng ating pinag-aaralan dito. In infectious agent, simple lang po ang prinsipyo. Basta anything that causes disease, pwedeng anything of the microorganisms as we have discussed in your microbiology, ayan, infectious agent. Basta anything na nakakahawa. No? With your reservoir, may tatlo po tayong reservoir na i-consider in application of how we investigate the possible infections na kung saan nakukuha yung mga sakit natin. Okay? So, mapapansin nyo may tatlo po tayo. No? Animal reservoir, human reservoir, environmental reservoir. Pero sa lahat ng iisip-problemahin natin, usually, si animal reservoir is the most common source of reservoir ng ating mga sakit, no? Kasi there are certain animals that are immunized by certain microorganisms. Pero sa ating human, since we don't have that kind of genes, we don't have that kind of immunization against the microorganism, kaya iba din po ang impact ng ating immune system, no? And with environmental reservoir, malaking factor din yan, no? Sa human reservoir, usually hawaan lang naman yan, no? Marami po tayong pag-uusapan later on. And your environmental reservoir, depende po yan kung saan nakuha, no? Pwedeng sa nakain, pwedeng sa paggala nyo, no? Yan ang pag-uusapan natin. Okay? So, in your animal reservoir, disease transmitted from animals to humans are called zoonosis or zoonotic infection. So, anything na nagkukos ng sakit na galing sa hayop, like for COVID, ang chismis, I don't know, nanggaling daw sa paniki na kinain, no? Kinakain. So, yun ang kwento, no? Meron pa mga reptiles or whatsoever, kasi nga ang China mahilig sa mga exotic food. So, they all assume na nanggaling po sa China yung virus. Until, since we all know, medyo populated din ang China, nagtra-travel. So, ang ending, kumalat po sa buong mundo yung virus. And, ito po yung mga example na minention, anthrax, plague, and rabies, no? Ang rabies naman, no? Kaya mag-iingat kayo sa mga alaga nyong aso, pusa, no? Hinahalik-halikan nyo pa, no? Ang endgame mamaya, nagkaharutan, no? Kinalmot ka, ayan, pwede ka rang magka-rabies, no? So, kaya mag-iingat po. Kaya po dapat, nagpapabakuna yung owner and also the pet, no? Para naman kahit magkalmutan kayo, walang ending na malungkot. Okay? Next, human reservoir. Ayan, organism could spread directly from one organism to another. Ayan. So, sa mga mahilig mag-share ng pagkain, yung mga laway conscious, mga hindi laway conscious, di mo alam, may Hepa B pala, no? May mga flu, no? May mga kung ano na pang virus. So, mag-iingat po tayo dun, okay? With your asymptomatic carrier, ito, example ko, as mentioned ko, ito po yung very risky, kasi mukhang okay si tao, nagtitiwala ka, pero hindi mo alam, meron pala siyang sakit na dala. So, ano mga magandang example nun? That would be your syphilis, no? May mga certain cases, naka-dormant period po ang ating syphilis. In the long run, akala mo okay lang, pero hindi mo alam. Next thing you know, nakakahawa ka na pala ng ibang tao. So, kaya importanteng inaalam nyo kung sino mga nakakakontak nyo. And also, for example, HIV. Similarly, ganun din po ang scenario niyan. Akala nyo wala, pero pag bumagsak ang inyong immune system, as I have highly emphasized, lilitaw po yung mga symptoms ng mga corresponding viruses or bacterial infection na minention ko, no? And marami pang examples, no? But yun yung mga most common na pwede nating gamitin kasi yun ang scenarios na possible po mangyari. Okay? Incubatory carrier. Spread infection during incubation. So, in alignment, as I have mentioned kanina, for example, si Hepa naman, usapang Hepa. Okay? So, for example, kumain kayo sa mga pagkain na may mga certain, yung mga food handlers, no? Kapag positive sa Hepa, no, there are certain aspect na i-consider natin na pwede rin kayong mahawa, no, during the time na nagpe-prepare ng food. Lalo na kung asymptomatic din yung taong yun, pwede po siyang makahawa, no. Kaya nga po usually in food handling business, importante pong nagkakandak ng screening. Kasi nga pwede po silang makahawa ng mga tao. So kaya importante po ang hygiene, no, sa lahat ng ginagawa. And even sa ating mga healthcare workers, no, we are vulnerable for these cases, especially sa mga needle prick injury or even nga direct contact with the patient, no. So kaya we are vulnerable to any form of diseases na that requires incubation. Usually mga viruses, no, may mga certain viruses require 6 months incubation, or for example ang TB, ayan, may incubation period yan bago mag-manifest as a sakit sa isang tao. Chronic carrier, ito na, hindi na nagkakalayo sa ginamit yung example, your HEPA, your HIV, considered yan as chronic carrier. No, anything that requires long months or years na exposure bago lumabas ang isang sakit, considered yon as chronic carrier. With your convalescent carrier, spreads infection after recovery. So, magandang example po nito would be your chickenpox, no? Habang papalapit na ang recovery ng isang tao with exposed to chickenpox, they are more likely to spread infection. Kasi as I have mentioned, class, no, kapag humihina na yung host na pinagkakatirahan ng isang virus, they are more likely to find someone who can they target, no? Yung lalo na kung mahina ang immune system ng corresponding person, no? Next, environment reservoir. So, meron tayong soil, water, and aquatic plants. With your soil, ito po, nakikita to sa lupain, no? Histoplasma capsulatum. With your water, meron naman tayong Entamoeba histolytica. Paki-take note po, si Entamoeba histolytica, ito po yung nagkukos ng amoebiasis. Okay? Wherein, nagtatae ka ng dugo na mucoid, watery stool, no? Tapos, ayan, panay CR, panay suka, no, nilalagnat, no. Yan ang usual signs for your Entamoeba histolytica. Wherein, no, kapag hindi po malinis yung iniinom na tubig or sa mga pine-prepare na food, madumi ang tubig or kulang sa filtration process, there is a high chance na pwede kayong makakuha ng Entamoeba histolytica. Kaya mag-iingat kayo, class, no, kapag kumakain kayo sa labas, kasi ito po ay possible scenario na pwede nyong makuha. And take note, class, no, once you have Entamoeba histolytica, may lifetime exposure na kayo niyan, pwede po siyang, may mga gamot, oo, pero in terms of reinfection, mas mataas ang reinfection once na magkaroon ka na nito, no. So, yan po ang risk with your Entamoeba histolytica. With your aquatic plants, Fasciola hepatica. Si Fasciola hepatica, from the word itself, no, si hepatic means liver. So, therefore, there is the high chance of infection, no, with the aquatic plants. Ito, usually, winawarn ko to, lalo na kung mahilig kayo kumain sa mga samgyupsal, or anything with salad, no, malaking chances nyo pwedeng makakuha ng parasite din kung hindi maayos or not properly washed yung mga nape-prepare na food. So, importanteng hinuhugasan nyo lahat ng pinagkakainan nyo. Okay? Next, portal of exit. Route through which pathogen live the host. So, basically, si portal of exit and portal of entry is not far from each other. Okay? So, ito po yung ating examples na ginamit po dito. So, may makita ka dito respiratory droplets, coughing or sneezing. Meron din tayong urine, no? Wherein, mali po yung spelling nito, no? Schistosoma hematobium, no? Wherein, S-C-H-I-S-T-O-S-O-M-A po, no? Schistosoma hematobium. Wherein, nakukuha po to, no? If, kung kunwari, kayo ay tampisaw sa mga ilog, no? Na merong snails, na may itlog po ng Schistosoma hematobium, tapos nagtampisaw ka, nagkataon na may sugat ka sa mga binti mo, or even small, no? Pwede silang pumasok dyan. Pero ang pinaka-paborito nilang tirahan is your urinary bladder. So, kaya nga po ang ginagamit na sample for checking the presence of your Schistosoma hematobium is the urine. Kasi minsan sumasama sila upon urine collection. Okay? With your feces, marami pong parasite na dyan po nakikita, no? Mostly. With your blood naman, ito po, ang ginamit na example dito si Plasmodium species, wherein yan po ang nagkukos ng malarial infection. Next, meron din tayo vaginal or urethral secretions in cases of sexually transmitted diseases, no? Na nagkukos ng ayan nga, para pangangati or whatsoever, namumulaw. Yan yung mga possible scenario po for vaginal and urethral secretions. Kaya po importanteng, no, na magiging maingat po tayo. Okay? Next, mode of transmission. May dalawa tayong klase ng mode of transmission. May direct and indirect transmission. With your direct transmission, meron tayong person-to-person contact. No? Kaya mag-iingat po tayo sa mga hinahalikan natin, hinawakan, or even mga partners natin in the future. No? So, mag-iingat po tayo. No? So, ang ginamit na example ba dito is kissing or slash saliva. Ang ginamit po na example is your Epstein-Barr virus or yung kissing disease. So, meron din tayo skin lesions or na merong ginamit na example is your warts, no? Wherein, makukuha po to sa cases usually ng human papilloma virus, no? Which progresses to cervical cancer if hindi, actually wala pong treatment so far. The best way, no, to prevent this kind of warts would be vaccine, no? Cervical cancer vaccines. Okay? Para hindi kayo, magkaroon ng cancer. Okay? And with your sexual, no, gonorrhea and syphilis, medyo paulit-ulit na natin naririnig yan. With your droplet spread, no? So, ito usually, na-discuss na natin to way back, no? Sneezing and coughing found in your common colds or influenza. So, next, indirect transmission. Meron tayong airborne, wherein nakukuha through dust or aerosol. So, due to small size, they remain suspended in the air. So, there are cases, no, na napag-usapan na natin to sa, what you call this, sa precautions, no. So, I think medyo na-emphasize na to. Pero ito po yung mga ginamit pang example, Cryptococcus neoformans and also your measles. Okay, next, vehicle wherein nakukuha siya not through any galing sa sarili natin or sa close contact, but indirect contact, no? For example, sa pagkain, sa tubig na kinukuha natin, objects, mga nahahawakan natin na infected or fomites, no? Yan, example yan.
With your vector transmission naman, meron tayong mechanical and biological. From passive, brought by an organism on their body parts. So, ayan. With your biological, active. Ibig sabihin, nadadaan sa kagat, no? Pathogen multiplies in vector. So, meron tayong malaria, which is, tandaan, si Anopheles is the species na nagkukos ng malaria. So, yung Anopheles, yun yung lamok na nagkukos ng malaria. Your rat flea o yung kuto ng daga, no? Na yan yung nagkukos ng plague. Therefore, ang microorganism niya is your Yersinia pestis. So, portal of entry. Pathway by which pathogens enter the host. So, ito na, hindi ko na masyadong uulit-ulitin pa, nasabi na natin to kanina. Okay, so sa madaling salita, portal of exit equals portal of entry. Next, final link in the chain of infection, which is your susceptible host. So, mapapansin nyo naman, class, no, yung ating patient born with sickle cell traits are prone to malaria. So, kung mapapansin nyo po, no, yung genetic factor na ginamit po ditong example yung sickle cell traits. Tandaan, si sickle cell traits is a genetic blood disease, no, wherein deformed po yung red blood cells. So, they are more vulnerable to have malaria kasi may mga kulang silang components that leads to their high chance of being exposed to malaria. Kaya mag-iingat kayo pag kayo ay gagala-gala sa Palawan. With your immune status, ayan, alam nyo na yan, with age, immune system has an effect, no? Nutrition, ayan, pag hindi kayo mahilig kumain ng gulay or mga masustansyang pagkain, you are vulnerable for ayan, susceptibility. And your lifestyle, syempre, kung mahilig kayong magbisyo, inom alak, sigarilyo, or whatsoever, you're also vulnerable for, ayan, diseases. How organism produce disease? And next, ito, may tatlo tayong case to consider for any exposure of microorganism that causes disease. So, una, mechanical invasiveness. So, enter the host, survive in the host, multiply, and spread in the tissue. So, ito class na yung 3 steps in invasion, colonization, evasion of immune defenses, tissue invasion. So, colonization, attachment to host cell. So, usually, ayan nga, anything na may opening sugat, yan yung mga vulnerable ways para kayo ay matamaan ng isang infection, inflammation, parasitic pa yan, or any microorganisms. So, and then, kaya nga, yung immune response natin, malaking important role yan. I-connect natin sa susunod na discussion. Pero, ayan nga, ginamit na example na kaya minsan, kahit may immune system pa rin tayo, pero there's always a limit in our defense sa ating immune system, okay? Dahil nga, ang ating bacteria, they have their own defense, no? Wherein they can bypass certain corresponding exposure ng, for example, itong mga ginamit, bacteria pili or Fimbriae helps in addition, capsules prevent phagocytosis. Wherein, yan ang mga primary immune response ng ating immune system to combat diseases. So, yan ang isa sa mga major issue, no, ng possible cause of the disease. So, kung mapapansin naman natin, si Staphylococcus aureus, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Neisseria gonorrhea, Clostridium perfringens. Ang gusto ko lang i-highlight dito, si S. aureus, wherein nag-release ng coagulase to escape immune surveillance. With your Clostridium perfringens, nagre-release naman ng collagenase to break down the collagen. Natanda natin, protein component ng ating katawan. Therefore, nagkakaroon ng vulnerability ang ating katawan, hence the production of your gas gangrene, no, development, no? Ayan. Moving forward, meron tayong dalawang chemical damage, no? In terms of toxins, meron tayong exo and meron din tayong endotoxin. Ayan. In some disease, symptoms are mainly caused by toxins rather than the bacteria themselves. So, with your chemical damage toxins, exotoxins are proteins secreted by bacteria during growth and metabolism. So, meron tayo, pakitandaan lang, no, sa exotoxin, maraming cases ng exotoxin sa production ng gram-positive Pero it doesn't mean na hindi rin po sila nag-release ng endotoxins. Yan ang pakitandaan, no? Pero they are mainly, kaya nga mainly, not everyone, no, have exotoxin at the same time, no? Pero mas common nga lang po siya sa ating gram-positive. Paki-take note na lang po yung mga example of diseases mentioned. Ang gusto ko lang idagdag, since na-mention ko na before itong diphtheria, botulism, and tetanus, si scarlet fever. Kaya po scarlet fever ang tinawag na example of symptoms with your Streptococcus pyogenes, kasi kapag nilagnat ka ng presence of Streptococcus pyogenes, namumula po yung buong katawan. And in alignment of your Streptococcus pyogenes with scarlet fever, ito rin yung nagkukos ng strawberry color ng throat, no? Part po yung tinatawag nating strep throat na nagkukos ng pharyngitis. Okay? So, there are types of exotoxin. From the word cyto means cell toxins. So, yan po ang gusto kong i-emphasize. With your neurotoxin, paki-highlight po, no? Interfere with nerve impulse transmission. So, sa nerve impulse po ang target ng ating neurotoxin. From the word entero, gastrointestinal ang tinatarget. Endotoxin, mas common and highly emphasized sa ating gram-negative bacteria. Ang tatanda natin si lipid A, yung responsible for toxicity. So, ito po na-mention na po yung iba't ibang bacteria, na typhoid fever, meningococcal infections, UTI. Ang gusto ko lang i-highlight dito na medyo deadly po si ating meningococcal, no? Ito po ay isang airborne microorganisms na hindi po kayo basta-basta pwedeng humawak or hindi kayo naka-PPE ng maayos kasi po ito ay nakakamatay, no? They can cause paralysis, joint pain, no? And ayun nga, syempre, buong katawan po ang infected dito. And particularly, natatarget din yung brain kasi nga meningitis, no? Meningitis leads to the pathway through your brain, no? Kaya po nakakamatay po si meningococcal. Okay? So, ayan nga, as mentioned nga, marami po siyang cascading symptoms na minamanifest po with your chemical damage toxins. Okay, next. Ito, pakibasa na lang po to. Paki-take note. Nasa libro naman po to. Okay? With your immunologic mechanism of disease, meron po tayong dalawang types of examples nga as mentioned po dito, no? That there are certain diseases na nagmamanifest directly through our body, no? As part of the immune response and defense against the virus or even the bacteria. So, for example, sa hepatitis virus, no? Ang tinatarget nito is your liver, which leads to your jaundice, no? Kaya bakit nagkakaroon ng jaundice? Kasi nga po, nagkakaroon ng high infection cases ng liver. At tinatarget ng hepatitis virus natin yung ating liver with our immune cells, therefore leading to liver damage. Okay, with your measles naman, no? Skin rashes results from immune reactions. Okay? Classification of infectious disease. So, ito, paki-take note na lang, transmission, source of infection, occurrence in population, duration of illness, extent of body involvement. So, ito po yung mga other corresponding topics na kailangan nating pag-usapan. Okay? Ipi-paste through ko na lang na medyo mabilis. From the word communicable disease, ito lang gusto kong tandaan. Communicable, ibig sabihin, napapasa via contact. So, kung para ka lang tumatawag, pero this time, incommunicable, no? Pwedeng, usually, communicable, makipag-interact ka man lang, may chances na pwede kang mahawa, no? Kaya nga, spread from one host to another. Contagious disease, ito naman yung tipong masinghot mo lang kanyang sakit, pwede kang magkasakit. Kaya contagious, madali siyang kumalat. Okay? Mabilis yung trend. No? Ginamit na example po dito is your measles and your chickenpox. Your fulminant disease, ito po yung nakakatakot nga, as I mentioned, si meningococcemia. Wherein, yung bacterial infection, kumakalat, no? Which leads to immediate death, no? Yun yung nakakatakot. Pag kumalat ng malala at hindi nadaan sa antibiotic, no? Pwedeng mamatay ang pasyente. Next, non-communicable disease. Ito naman, indirectly, nakukuha, no? Dito nakukuha ng ng paghawak lang or pakikipag-communicate. It requires direct, literal na do not spread directly between individuals. So, hindi ito nakakahawa in any form, no? So, caused by Clostridium tetani, enters body through wound. So, ito, for example, si Clostridium tetani, kailangan masugatan ka muna bago ka magkaroon ng sakit. Unlike with your communicable, usually sa hangin, usually sa paghawak lang, pwede kang mahawa. Ito, si non-communicable, kailangan magkaroon ka man ng point of contact, ng direct as in penetrative contact, tsaka lang siya magiging harmful. So, yan po, no? Next, exogenous infection. Ibig sabihin, hindi po nanggaling sa katawan yung infection, nanggaling outside of the body. So, for example, uminom ka ng contaminated water, pwede ka magkaroon ng cholera galing sa Vibrio cholerae. Your nosocomial infection, yan, hospital-acquired infection, endogenous infection caused by ating normal flora within the body. Ayan, endogenous. So, for example, ang E. coli galing sa ating puwet sa tae. Pero, if improperly, conducting hygiene, no, pwede ka magkaroon ng UTI. Based on occurrence of disease. So, ito, pakitake note to, kasi you might hear this most of the time, lalo na kung kayo ay nasa infection control facilities or introduction, no, for reporting any case of diseases within the facilities na pinagtatrabahuan nyo. Kasi very important na ini-evaluate, nire-report nyo ang presence of infection, lalo na kung tumataas yung cases. No, for example, ginamit natin, no, magsimula tayo sa sporadic. Sporadic means bihira lang siya, nangyayari bilang lang sa kamay. With your endemics, particular lugar lang po ang nagkakaroon. Ito yung sinasabi ko na merong certain areas, parts of our country, or even in different countries, na may mga certain parasitic, bacterial infection na common sa mga lugar na yun. Na, kaya dapat pag nagto-travel, make sure you know the place enough kung ano yung pwede nyo makuhang sakit. So, for example, in Palawan, there is a high cases of malaria. So, therefore, kapag kayo ay pupunta doon, medyo may chances kayo, tataas yung chance nyo na magkaroon kayo ng malaria. Okay? Schistosomiasis, no? Kita po yan sa iba't ibang parte ng Pilipinas. Merong endemic area, no? Kaya po mag-iingat kayo pag kayo ay lumalangoy or pag kayo ay kumakain ng suso, no? Or snail. No, with your epidemic naman, ito naman yung sudden increase in disease cases in a population. Like, for example, influenza outbreak, no? Flu, COVID, pwedeng dengue, lalo na pag dengue season, nangyayari po yan. With your pandemic, ito po, buong mundo na po yung affected, no? Hindi lang po sa isang lugar, but worldwide na po siyang makalat. Next, based on duration of disease. Acute disease or rapid onset, short duration, no? For example, ang acute, from the word acute, ibig sabihin mabilis na nakakahawa. Your chronic disease, ito naman, may progression, no? Sa umpisa, wala lang, pero in the long run, nagmamanifest po yung symptoms in case of tuberculosis or even in your hepatitis B. Hepatitis B have acute and chronic form. Depende sa kung ano yung, kung saan ka na-expose, no? Kasi medyo complicated po ang structure ng hepatitis B virus, kaya meron tayong acute and chronic form of our hepatitis B. With your latent infection, ayan na nga, remains inactive in the body for long periods. So, for example, herpes virus infection, ayan, meron din po tayong shingles, no, in your chickenpox. There are certain cases, no, kung kahit may history ka na ng chickenpox, but if your immune system, gradually goes down, no, pwede pong mag-relapse or mag-trigger ulit ang chickenpox virus, pero sa shingles version. Okay? So, ayan. Next, extent of infection. Alam naman natin from the localized, ibig sabihin certain area lang po. With your systemic, yan po ay kalat, no? Usually within the body system from your blood or your lymph nodes. With your focal infection, a localized infection that spreads to other body parts. So, ibig sabihin, pili lang sa parte ng ating katawan. Ito lang huwag tayong malilito sa localized with your focal. From the word focal, nakafocus lang sa specific part of your body. Ang localized, no? Ibig sabihin, kalat pa rin siya, pero in a way na isolated pa rin po siya. With your focal, naka-target po sa isang part lang ng ating organ. Next, meron tayong primary and secondary infection. Just to emphasize lang, with your primary infection, yun yung nag-start ng sakit. With your secondary infection, meron kang infection na nag-i-exist, may dumating pang isang sakit. So, gagamitin kong example, for example, yung nangyari po sa aking lolo, no? Kaya po siya namatay, no? Na-expose po siya sa COVID-19. Oo, ang nangyari, naka-recover po siya sa COVID-19. But the problem is, due to his age, no? Medyo advanced na po yung stage niya, 80 years old na siya. So, ang nangyari po is, as soon as naka-recover siya sa COVID, ang problema, yung pneumonia niya, hindi po nawala. So, kaya siya namatay, no? So, there will be that kind of cases po sa ating practices. Subclinical infection. Infections without noticeable symptoms. As I have said, may mga certain na sakit na hindi po lumalabas or lumilitaw ang symptoms. Pero nakakahawa po sila. So, kaya po mag-iingat po tayo as an individual for the safety of everyone na nakapaligid po sa atin. Ito na, hindi ko na masyado pahabain tong kwento na to. Incubation, prodromal, period of illness, period of decline, and convalescence. With your incubation period, mapapansin nyo po, no? Virulence of organism, number of infecting host of immunity. Ito, the time between paano nakuha yung sakit. Okay? Kaya po, inoorasan natin usually. Kaya nga, when it comes to estimation of exposure sa certain flu, or COVID, or ano pa, any diseases, no? May mga certain predictions yan kung paano ka makaka-recover, no? So, usually may estimated timeline yan, no? So, yan po ay part yan ng incubation period. And usually, yan yung progression kung paano biglang lilitaw ang tinatawag nating early stage of disease, yung mga symptoms na medyo lumilitaw, na very common generally sa iba't ibang sakit. So, for example, with your prodromal period. So, gamitin nating scenario is your flu and your COVID, no? Halos pareho lang po sila ng symptoms. Ang key difference lang with your common colds and your COVID is yung ang nawawala, no, sa ating COVID, yung taste and yung smell. No? Although ang flu, may mga cases na nawawala ng pangamoy, pero meron kang panglasa. And iba din po ang reaction ng katawan natin sa immune response with the exposure of flu and with your COVID, no? So, yan po yung isang magandang example, no? Yan, usually naman, kapag may nakakasakit kayo, nilalagnat, sumasakit yung buong katawan, no? Parang tinatrangkaso. Yan po ang example ng ating prodromal. With your period of illness, dito na po nakaspike or nagmanifest na lahat ng ating symptoms. Wala nang tinatago. So, ginamit na example po dito yung inyong measles rush. And then, possible outcomes, recovery, chronic infection, carrier state, severe disease. So, yan. Yan yung mga possible endgame ng ating period of illness. Pwedeng lumala, pwedeng mag-recover, at pwede ka rin maging nakakahawa. No? So, yan po yung mga possible consequence with your period of illness. Period of decline, ito na po yung recovery stage ng isang pasyente. Wherein, umuokay na lahat ng kondisyon mo ng paunti-unti. No? Pero, ang nakakatakot lang dito sa decline, possible na makarecover, pero at the same time, you are still vulnerable na pwede kang makakuha pa ng iba pang sakit. Kasi, usually, nakaka-recover ka pa lang sa bagong sakit. Siyempre, pagod ang katawan natin, pagod ang immune system natin. So, we are more likely to have possible side effect kung hindi po tayo mag-iingat. Kaya nga po dapat kapag infected ang isang pasyente, dapat monitored, naka-face mask upon recovery, no? Para hindi pa lalo lumala ang sakit at magkaroon ng relapses or whatever complications may happen. With your period of convalescence, no? Yan yung final stage of recovery. Wherein wala ka ng bahid ng any symptoms. Okay? Bumalik ka na sa bagong normal state of your health. So, Ano ba ang importance nito? Simple lang, no? To take accountability and to take the infection as something important, no? So kaya para tayo ay mag-iingat paglalo na sa paghandle ng pasyente at sa pakipagsalamuha sa mga tao, and syempre yung mga precautions, no, when it comes to having an encounter, lalo na kung kayo ay magtatrabaho sa ospital. So ayan, maganda rin na mag-ingat, no? Laging mag-iingat in every circumstances. Ayan. That concludes our discussion.